Hi.
So I was late to the Arcane craze that has taken a hold of so many people over the last 3 years. I did not watch the first season until the second season came out and had completely finished airing. I avoided any and all spoilers and went into Arcane completely unaware of what I was about to watch. And boy was I in for an experience. I think I went through every emotion imaginable, watching these beautiful and heartfelt characters trying to survive in a cruel world where there's a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Every single character in this absolutely incredible story is treated with so much respect, and the show has some of the best writing I have seen in a while, especially for what's essentially an animated series. With our two protagonists, orphan sisters Violet and Powder, igniting a storm of seemingly endless events that completely changes not only their lives, but the fate of two entire cities. Arcane begins with what becomes an undeniable defining moment in the siblings' lives. Up on the bridge, amongst the chaos and death of an uprising gone horribly wrong, on the day the two sisters find themselves robbed of the two most important people in their lives. Powder clutches onto her older sister's hand, scared and too young to understand what has happened. She looks up to her sister for comfort and safety and watches her as she breaks down in tears. She then holds her in her tiny little arms and tries to comfort her instead. Powder and Violet learn that day that at any moment their found happiness can disappear or be taken from them, without warning. And it's this trauma at such an important developmental stage of Powder's life that has become the root cause of her future fear of abandonment. Now, a few years later, the two siblings find themselves within a new family dynamic. Vander, a good friend of their late parents, has taken them in along with orphans Milo and Clagger. The four children grow up in Piltover's undercity, the city of Zaun, which is a dangerous place, riddled with crime, where its residents try to survive from scraps. To live in this city, the children are often impelled to collect valuables through whatever means necessary, including theft. As the youngest of the bunch, Powder struggles to be a valuable member of the team. She's not as fast as the others, nor as strong, and instead focuses on creating gadgets to help them on their adventures. But her inventions don't quite work just yet, and her ability to help is questioned by her adoptive siblings, often referred to as a quote, Jinx.
Every time she comes, something goes wrong. She jinxes every job.
Especially when her actions, even though innocent in nature, result in the destruction of a building and the four children nearly get caught by Piltover's enforcers.
I tried, okay? You don't get it. You're older, you're bigger. It isn't fair.
So stick with us. Take a punch or two.
It's Milo in particular who continuously reminds Vi of her younger sister's mistakes, and little Powder begins to wonder whether she contributes enough to belong in this beloved family of hers.
She's a problem.
Milo, I'm really not.
Do you remember what was in that bag? Biggest payout we've ever seen, and she just lost it.
She made a mistake.
Name one time she hasn't.
She's young.
Don't bullshit me. We're twice the person at half her age.
I ruined everything. I always do.
Nobody said that.
No, just that you were twice the person at half my age. You heard them. I'm not a fighter.
Through a series of very unfortunate events, Vander is taken, and the three older adoptive siblings set out to rescue him. Powder watches as Violet once again breaks down in tears, likely bringing up memories of the trauma they suffered years ago. She immediately goes to grab her gadgets, but this time she's refused the ability to help. Violet explains to her that she needs her to stay home, that she can't lose her, and that she's not ready to fight.
I need you to sit this one out, Powder.
What?
You're not coming.
I'm not afraid.
It's too dangerous.
But families stick together, you said it yourself.
I know what I said.
I want to fight, I can help.
You're not ready.
Powder's then left behind and all alone with nothing but a smoke flare. Now, here's where I want to mention something brought up by the Arcane community and also various licensed therapists who have watched the show. While left behind, Powder is seen having an extreme emotional reaction to being alone, making fans wonder whether Powder is struggling through a psychological affliction brought up by her past trauma. the mental illness known as borderline personality disorder. Powder is terrified that she'll lose the people she loves, and that they'll leave her whether intentional or not. A very real fear that fans of the show who have been diagnosed with PPD can relate to. But then she finds a way to be useful again, with a power that she's certain will help her family. Tragedy unfolds when, after a brutal fight, the family nearly escapes before Powder unleashes a power so great that it takes the lives of Milo and Clagger, and ultimately kills their surrogate father as well. Unaware of what has happened, Powder proudly shares her achievement with her sister. Her gadget finally worked. She was finally of use to her family. She saved them, or so she believes.
I was saving you. I only wanted to help.
The line, "I only wanted to help," has stayed with me throughout the series. Powder has a good heart and really only wanted to help. And when she believes she finally did, her worst fear becomes reality when Violet walks away. They're gone. They left me. Maybe I truly am a Jinx. And when Silco finds her, Jinx is truly born. Instead of helping her through her trauma, Silco feeds her worst fears and anxieties. He tells her that her sister abandoned her, even though he made a deal with a Piltover enforcer to ensure Vi would never return.
Your sister's gone. You know that as well as I do.
Years of continuous disasters and agony have a toll on Powder's psyche, creating this heavy emotional baggage for her to carry around. And with time, more symptoms of PPD emerge. Extreme mood changes, unstable relationships, a lack of sense of self, dissociation, paranoia, impulsive, dangerous behavior, voices, and hallucinations. With the help of Silco, Jinx grows into a villain, gaining a reputation amongst the citizens of Zaun as being a dangerous foe not to be messed with, a loose cannon. After years of being imprisoned, Vi is eventually released with the help of Caitlyn, and the two sisters finally reunite.
Who's she?
Jinx is shocked to see her own long-lost sister teaming up with an enforcer, when enforcers are the very reason she became the person she is today. It's enforcers that took her parents from her, and now one is taking her sister from her. Her imagination is running wild, hallucinations haunting her as she questions everything. At this moment, Violet still believes her sister to be the same little girl she left years ago. But the illusion of her innocence shatters when the firelights attack and Jinx is forced to fight. Vi can't believe her eyes when she sees her own little sister smiling and giggling as she has every intention to kill those who come near. She's no longer the helpless little girl Violet grew up with, and instead fights with skill and incredible instincts, powered by the deadly gadgets that now work without issue. Distracted by her sister's new destructive nature, Violet is hit from behind and taken.
No!
With her sister gone, Jinx spirals out of control, growing more dangerous as she now believes everyone to be lying to her, especially Silco, who lied to her for years about her sister's absence.
I can explain.
Don't move, silly. I might hurt you.
I didn't know. Marcus never told me she was in Stillwater.
But you found out she came back. You lied.
Unfortunately, Silco is able to convince her that he needs her. But what Jinx doesn't understand is that what he really needs is her genius mind for his own personal gain. Which, can we just take a moment to appreciate how incredibly smart Jinx is? With zero instructions or explanations or any fancy Piltover schooling, Jinx is able to create elaborate and creative gadgets all from the scraps she either finds or is given. And on top of that, she's able to understand what took Jace and Victor years to create, as she uses Hextech technology to power her weapons. And it's this Hextech technology, in the form of a refined crystal, that Silco needs for his nation of Zaun. The words, "I only wanted to help," come echoing back when Jinx sacrifices herself to help him, as she protects the gemstone from capture. The explosion damaged her body so much that she's not far from death, and when Silco finds her holding the gemstone in her hand, her loyalty brings up whatever small bit of actual paternal affection he has for her. He brings her to Singed, the mad chemist that created Shimmer, and begs for him to save her. Half dead, Jinx is barely conscious when the torture begins, and the chemist does whatever it takes to keep her alive, all while she suffers horrible hallucinations of her sister and the enforcer she believes has stolen her.
Vi? I'm so sorry, Powder. Your sister's Jinx.
No, don't! No!
I understand this must be painful.
No!
I'm afraid it will only get worse.
Transformed by the Shimmer, Jinx tries to make sense of what happened to her, but instead learns that Silco has secret intentions of making a deal with Piltover's council, with plans to trade her for the independent nation of Zaun he has always wanted to lead. Jinx feels beyond betrayed by the two people she cares about most, Violet, who left her behind to care for Caitlyn, and Silco, who's ready to give her up to Piltover. She captures them both, along with Caitlyn, and holds a kind of mad tea party, similar to that of Alice in Wonderland, a story that also questions one's identity.
I paid your girlfriend a visit this morning.
What did you do?
I made her a snack.
No!
Sheesh, I'm not that crazy.
Jinx is in an enormous internal conflict with herself. Is she Powder or is she Jinx? Can she truly reunite with her sister after everything that has happened? Or is it too late? Are Violet and Silco her enemies, liars, or family? In her struggle for answers, Caitlyn manages to free herself but is quickly outmaneuvered by Jinx and her new Shimmer abilities.
Look out!
You see, now finish it.
Silco urges her to finish her off to free herself of the looming threat. Violet then pleads for Caitlyn's life and tries to remind her of her past, triggering traumatic memories that flood her brain in an overpowering surge. Silco grabs the gun that Jinx left on the table, and in an attempt to silence Vi, he shoots. But Jinx is faster, and in a fit of protective anger fires her weapon at him, making her responsible for yet another accidental death of one of her loved ones.
No, I'm sorry.
Jinx then makes a heartbreaking choice. Powder is no more. All hope is lost. She fully becomes Jinx as she takes her seat at the table.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to. Even though I'm different. But you changed too. So, here's to the new us.
Meanwhile, the council in Piltover makes the groundbreaking decision to give independence to the undercity of Zaun, in return for peace. As they vote for the greater good, Jinx picks up her new innovation powered by Hextech and fires a missile to strike the Grand Council chamber, to hurt them the way they hurt her. The finale of Season 1 ends similar to Episode 3, with another horrible tragedy at the hands of Jinx, while she is once again unaware of the consequences of her actions. What could have become an era of peace for Piltover and Zaun is now an impossible future stained by hatred and death. In the beginning of Season 2, Violet is convinced that the sweet and innocent sister she once knew is dead and that Jinx is beyond saving. Suffering the death of 3 council members, Caitlyn's mother included, Caitlyn and the remaining council members have had enough of the violence coming from Zaun and organize a manhunt to capture Jinx before she can do more harm. Meanwhile, the Undercity is left in complete chaos now that Silco is gone. The remaining Kim Barons are at war over the Shimmer factories, and it is suggested online that some of the orphan children working in the mines have escaped. Amongst them, a little girl named Isha, who runs in fear from the criminals in charge. In a lucky twist of fate, Isha slips and falls on none other than Jinx, who's been in hiding and staying out of the spotlight to avoid capture. With no one else to turn to, Jinx swiftly takes care of Isha's problem, saving her from a grim fate. Grateful for her help and in search of safety, the orphan follows her.
I can't believe you're dead, and I'm still mopping up your messes.
Jeez, lady, you crazy? Talking to dead people.
While grieving the death of Silco, Jinx unexpectedly bonds with Sevika as they reminisce about his life and dreams for Zaun. She learns that Sevika is actually very similar to her, only wanting to help the people she cares about, the people of the Undercity. And in an act of kindness and conciliation, Jinx does what she does best and makes a new arm for her.
I didn't ask you for this.
It was something I could fix.
Shortly after finishing her work on the arm, a green cloud of toxic smoke known as the Grey fills her childhood getaway. Kim Baron Smeech has given up her location to Piltover enforcers who enter one by one to take her into custody. Jinx is once again shocked to see that her own flesh and blood has become what she hates most, the very thing that killed their parents and destroyed their futures. Watching her, we can see what can only be described as a broken child, sobbing as she escapes and runs from her sibling, abandoned and betrayed once again. Smeech and his goons stop her from escaping, and in her moment of need, Sevika appears. The two of them fight them off together, and even little Isha helps out. Now that Violet has become an enforcer, Jinx sees no future of reconciliation and instead decides to end what's left of her family.
What are you planning?
To finish what's left of my family.
As the two sisters fight, it's clear that Jinx releases all of the fury and resentment that has built up inside of her over the years, raging at Violet like a rabid dog. Even more disturbing, Jinx has no intentions of making it out alive. She's ready to die with her sister, having carefully planned and picked a spot to be their final resting place. Just look at the pillars displaying their lives in childhood, the stone slab resembling a coffin, plus then the explosion of colors and gray to send her off to be remembered as the one who made Piltover have a taste of their own medicine.
Go on. I'm ready. I'm glad it's you. Had to be you.
But then her plans are ruined when Isha jumps up to save her as she clutches onto her and refuses to let go.
What are you? Get off me!
The sisters are separated, but not before Jinx witnesses Violet protecting her and Isha, returning hope that their relationship might not be entirely lost after all, and giving Jinx enough peace to move forward. After that day, Jinx takes little orphan Isha into her custody, making a safe place for her in her hideout for the two of them to live together. We begin to see a huge shift in Jinx's personality as she bonds with the child and the two become like sisters. With Isha by her side, she becomes the parental figure and older sister she had always wanted herself. And for the first time in years, Jinx turns soft, never yelling at Isha even when she makes mistakes.
You're lucky. I didn't get to do much of this with my older sis. She was more into hitting things.
Jinx's paranoia and hallucinations disappear into the background as she believes her life might finally be turning around for her. The people of Zaun, however, are more oppressed than ever, and through Isha's actions begin to view Jinx as their champion, a blue shimmer of hope and a symbol of rebellion.
You're a symbol.
Huh. You want a symbol?
Jinx has finally found her little bit of peace and happiness in Isha, and she's terrified of it all being taken away from her again. She thus has zero interest in becoming the hero Zaun wants and needs her to be.
I got something going now. A friend. And I don't want to mess it up.
Jinx just wants to be left alone and avoid any chance of accidentally jinxing her new life. But life comes knocking on her door when Isha is forcefully taken by enforcers, pulling her back into the fight.
Isha?
They got her.
What?
She came to the rally. Topside raided the place. Took everyone.
You know what? Shut up! Shut up! Oh, shut up!
As soon as she hears the news that Isha has been taken, the hallucinations are back, but she's able to calm down this time. She has a new purpose, that of a protector, and she forces herself to become a better person, to be the hero that Isha deserves. Through trickery, Jinx and Savika are able to infiltrate Stillwater Hold and release those who were captured during the rally.
Here I am, your big fat hero.
This is when Jinx realizes just how important she has been for the people of Zaun, as one by one they touch her shoulder in respect and admiration, grateful for her help as they leave their unjust captivity. For once in her life, she actually helped people instead of being a deadly Jinx. And the cherry on top is this wholesome moment between her and Isha.
You're late for Stinkma's great comeuppance.
But the happy reunion is interrupted when an unbeatable monster comes charging in and once again puts Isha's life in danger. Her purpose is settled. Jinx is no longer the villain she was raised to be, and instead chooses her own path, that of a
big fat hero.
In order for Isha to escape, Jinx fights with all she has, but in the end is defeated by the monster that can't be harmed, only to discover that the creature is actually her surrogate father, Vander. Through the sinister works of Singed, Vander's body has been transformed into that of an unrecognizable beast with a thirst for blood. Jinx is desperate to avoid the mistakes she has made in the past and decides to seek the help of her sister to safely get Vander back to who he was.
It's Vander.
I'm not falling for another one of your tricks.
He's alive.
In search of Vander in the mines below Zaun, Violet recognizes a change in Jinx's behavior. Still as sassy as ever, Jinx's violent tendencies have significantly decreased, and instead she reminds her of the protective big sister she used to be.
Hey, kid. Still got all your insides?
To make up for what she has done in the past, Vi chooses to put her faith in Jinx and puts everything on the line to get through to the monster that has come to attack them.
Vi, it's him. You have to believe me.
Thankfully, it works, and Vander remembers who they are, resulting in a tearful reunion as a family.
What are you waiting for? He's your dad, too.
In an attempt to return Vander to his former self, they seek Victor's help to heal him. But Jace has different plans, and in an act to prevent a lifeless future of endless emptiness and destruction, Jace has to do the unthinkable and sacrifice his former partner for the greater good. And just as Vander is healing and his mind is released from the beast, the sisters are hit by another tragedy as Jace delivers a fatal blow. With Victor gone, Vander fully becomes the monster known as Warwick as he rages and kills without hesitation. Left in complete shock, Jinx attempts to bring him back to his senses, but fails. This is when little Isha once again jumps in to protect the one she loves, as she sacrifices her life to eliminate Warwick. After this extremely upsetting scene, Jinx just gives up. Isha's death is too much for her to bear.
The only thing Jinx cared about was getting you to safety. Then she just surrendered. I didn't even have time to think before they hauled her off.
Violet attempts to get through to her, but ignores just how much Isha meant to Jinx.
If you come, help use all that explosive potential of yours for good, maybe we could rewrite your story, like you did with Zahn. What do you think?
Sure, Vi.
Jinx then escapes, and as a final goodbye, wishes Violet to be happy.
You don't have to worry about me anymore. You don't need to feel guilty about being happy. You deserve to be with her.
She cuts the long blue hair Isha loved so much. She burns the home Vander and Silco loved so much. She then attempts to end it all.
Wait! I just want to talk to you.
Get out of here, Echo.
Thankfully, Echo is able to save her, and Jinx emerges with a spectacle in the finale of Arcane, combining her strength and smarts with Echo as they battle to save the city. When Echo succeeds to stop Victor, Jinx makes one final sacrifice as she watches her sister once again break down in tears over the loss of Vander. Jinx, her character arc from villain to hero, is one of the most tragic but also brilliantly written stories I have ever seen, and her death after everything she's been through is actually painful to watch. Arcane tells the story of actions and consequences, where every decision can either lead to happiness or misery. It also shows us the cycle of trauma and the importance of letting go, in order to not inflict the same traumatic experiences onto others and to actually break that cycle entirely. When looking back, it's safe to say that Violet was an amazing and incredibly supportive sister, and after watching her parents and surrogate father die before her very eyes, was caught up in a moment of weakness that she almost immediately regretted. With Arcane, it's the what-ifs that keep us wondering and serve as a valuable lesson to those who watch. Hopefully, this isn't the end of Jinx, her story just yet, and we'll see her again in the future. But for now, we mourn the loss of the girl who only wanted to help.